other side of the basement in my like bedroom area. The one area right here. It's where I'm at. And I'm over there on the other side, straightening up on the other side of the basement. But what really struck my ears, I got this CD playing, and it's talking about, it's reading the book of Psalms. It's the 76th book of Psalms, to the chief musician on Nigonath, a psalm or song of Asaph. In Judah is God's name known. Look at this. In Judah is God's name known. His name is great in Israel. In Salem also is his tabernacle and or his tent, his dwelling place in Zion. So is this what Jerusalem was before it turned into Jerusalem? Salem, Salem, Salem. Okay, why spell it like that, you all? There break he the arrows. And we're going to read the 76 Psalms. You know what comes to my mind when I hear about the number 76? I think of 1776. That's what's immediately come to my mind. 1776, and this video is not for everyone. Salem. His tent, his tabernacle is in Salem. Why do you think they put towns in the United States? Why did they give certain towns the name Salem? You have to ask yourself to it. Ask yourself about it. We're going to read it. We're going to read it regardless, y'all. Let me read it. Then I got to get back to doing some straightening up on the other side of the basement is what I got to do. In Judah this is the Psalm 76. Just think of 1776. It's the Declaration of Independence. And if anything else, Jeru. Was Jeru someone? Was there somebody named Jeru? Jeru? Who was Jeru? Jeru. Yeah. Yeah, I know it's like Jerusalem. So where did they come up? Jeru. I know it wasn't Jericho or something like that. Let me read this. To the chief musician of Nigonath, a psalm or song of Asaph. In Judah is God known. His name is great in Israel. In Salem, also is his tabernacle and his dwelling place in Zion. There break he the arrows of the bow, the shield and the sword and the battle. Selah. Thou art more glorious and excellent than the mountains of prey. The stout-heartedness are spoiled. They have slept their sleep, and none of the men of might have found their hands. At thy rebuke, O God of Jacob, both the chariot and horse are cast into a deep sleep. Thou art to be feared, and who may stand in thy sight when thou art angry? Thou didst cause judgment to be heard from heaven. The earth feared and was stilled. When God arose to judgment, to save all the meek of the earth, to save all the meek of the earth. You got the meek shall inherit the earth. I'm trying to see Sunset Salty Sage. It's just you and me. Yeah. Surely the wrath of man shall praise thee. The remainder of wrath shalt thou restrain. He's restraining some wrath. Vow and pay unto the Lord your God. Let all that be round about him bring presents unto him that ought to be feared. He shall cut off the spirit of the princes. He is terrible to the kings of the earth. Just absolutely terrible to the kings of the earth. That's what I have to share. Kind of goes right along with that message that flowed in from the spiritual realm at 11:21 a.m. He is terrible to the kings of the earth, those who are in control, those who are doing really terrible things to the people. You are here too, sunshine, for me, for you. It's time. It's times, and half a time. Right there. Jerusalem. In Salem. I'm in Salem. I'm in Salem. How did I end up in Salem? How did you, Gina, honey? Just this house, literally. Let me tell you about this house right here. When we were looking for a house to buy when my husband was retiring from the military, he was looking for foreclosures or something. This is really interesting. And my brother and his friend, this was a house that got foreclosed on, and my brother and his friend came over here, and they had to get all the stuff out of the house and throw it in a big dumpster. There was weeds grow up all over the place and stuff like that. And but we saw this house listed on there on a foreclosure, and we wanted to look at it. And my brother said, you know, we were in that house doing that. So anyhow, long story short, we got it. This house showed up just like that. My husband left Hawaii in December and come down and looked at this house, this log cabin. It was all brown. And he bought it. He bought the log cabin. And he told me he always wanted to have a row of pine trees. When he was little, he thought he would love to have a row of pine trees is what he would like to have. And there was the pine trees. I always wanted like a pond and some fruit trees or something. I wanted a 2-story house out in the country. I did, but I wanted it to be white. But this literally popped up like that, this house right here, right when we were ready to get out. But in Salem, hello. You just tuning in. Good afternoon, Diane Kelly. It is time, y'all. I'm going to go. Oh, 17. How did I get on this house? Oh, how I ended up in Salem. That's how it happened, just like that. That is how it happened. This house just popped up. My husband actually went on a trip to Jerusalem. I don't know, a few years ago he went. Yeah, that's it, y'all. You just tuning in. He is terrible to the kings of the earth. He shall cut off the spirit of the princes of darkness. And he is terrible to the kings of the earth. The princes are lower than the kings. It's the offsprings of the kings, the fallen ones. That's how it goes. Yeah, good afternoon. Hello there, Frank honey. I'm just sitting down for a moment in this chair. And I had a CD playing on the other side. The nation's plight, thine enemy's war. And instead of being filled with rejoicing worshipers, the temple area is filled with roaring enemies. That's what this says. 4:11. It's filled with roaring enemies. In place of the emblems of the tribes, the standards of the enemy are seen. The patient, quiet work by which the temple was built has been nullified by the ruthless axes and hammers of the invaders. The questions introduced by how long And why express the heightened nature of the lament, and relate the basic appeal to the specific disasters. Oh, uh-oh. This is right here. There's the number 17. I see it right there. I got to read it, you all. This is some kind of different thing. Let me see this. The nation's king, for God is my king of old. It is Israel's supreme king, whose power is pictured here, using symbolic language and descriptive terminology drawn from the mythology of the Canaanites. The psalmist insists that it is God who has won the almighty victories of the past, while the figures of speech are derived from the ancient creation stories, and the psalmist is applying them to God's display of power of the Exodus and the wilderness wanderings. Oh, this is the number 17. Look at this. It's if they did they got some filled with roaring enemies. Okay, yeah, we got it. It says, "Forget not the voice of thine enemies, the tumult of those that rise up against thee, increasing continually." So yeah, I heard the Psalm 76, and it said he in Salem is where he has his tabernacle, his tent. And I didn't know it said the word Salem. I thought the only thing it was Jerusalem. And I didn't know they said, oh, he was Melchizedek, the king of Salem. Abraham met in the way. There it is. There's a song. Okay, so Melchizedek was the king of Salem. That he was Melchizedek, the king of Salem. Abraham met in the way. From the burning bush he spoke to Moses, blessed Jacob, and changed his name. He is the God who never fails. He is the God who never fails. Jesus is his name. Yeah. Jerusalem, Melchizedek. You are a priest forever in the order of Melchizedek. All right, so there you have it, right there. Melchizedek, the king of Salem, that Abraham met in the way. Okay, I'm done. Hello, Rosie Pie. I'm going to go, you all. Got to get back over there. So that's all I got to say. But he said that he is going to, what's he going to do? Surely the wrath of man shall praise thee. The remainder of wrath thou shalt restrain. Vow and pray unto the Lord, let all be round about. He shall cut off the spirit of the princes, and he is terrible to the kings of the earth. I'm sorry. What to say, the kings, the princes of the earth, they cried out and said, hide us from he who sits on the throne and from the day of his wrath, for the great day, or whatever. Look at the title of this, where they say, fall on, they call for the rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of he who sits on the throne. They're going to get judged. They're going to get judged. 1776. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Oh, you're so welcome. Sunshine for me. For you. You're so very welcome. I am going to go. I got to get up. I can't sit down too long. I can't. So, with that being said, hello, wherever you are in any part of the world. Hello, from my heart to yours. Love you. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. I'm going to go back over there on the other side of the basement and do some more working. If you haven't watched that dance video, Waka Waka. Hey, did you think about this? You know, when we hear about Africa, we think of, you know, just Africa is a continent. Do you know how many different nations, countries are in the continent of Africa? All kinds of them. All kinds of them. Isn't Israel on the continent too of Africa or something like that? Israel, Sudan, I don't know, Ethiopia. There's all kinds. Yeah, it's a big continent. Yeah, Waka Waka A. Oh, Yeah, it's a big continent comprised of lots of people from different walks of life. That's what it is. Lots of people. Oh, we're gonna end it. We got 2 7s. 2 7s. So 77. 77. I'm gonna read this because of the young lady who said it was her 77th birthday in the 7th day on the video that we danced to last night. I'm gonna read this right here. I'm gonna read it. Psalm 77. I'm gonna read it to the chief musician of Jeduthun. I never heard of Jeduthun. What's Jeduthun? A psalm of Asaph. This is what you can say. I cried unto God with my voice, even unto God with my voice, and he gave ear to me. In the day of my trouble, I sought the Lord. My sore ran into the night and ceased not. My soul refused to be comforted. Can you say, I've been there, done that? Can you say, I've been there and done that? I can say I've been there and done that several times in my life. Okay, we got this. I remembered God and was troubled. I complained and my spirit was overwhelmed. We can say we've been there, done that. Yeah. Thou holdest mine eyes waking. I am so troubled that I cannot speak. I have considered the days of old, the years of ancient times. Ancient times. I call to remembrance my song in the night. I commune with my own heart, and my spirit made diligent search. Will the Lord cast off forever? And will he be favorable no more? Will the Lord, be favorable no more? In his mercy, clean gone forever? Is his mercy clean gone forever? Doth his promise fail forevermore? Hath God forgotten to be gracious? No. Hath he in anger shut up his tender mercies? Selah. And I said, this is my infirmity, but I will remember the years of the right hand of the Most High. I will remember the works of the Lord. Surely I will remember thy wonders of old. I will meditate also of all thy work and talk of thy doings. Thy way, O God, is in the sanctuary. Who is so great a God as our God? Let me do this. Thou art the God that doeth wonders. Thou hast declared thy strength among the people. Thou hast with thine arm redeemed thy people, the sons of Jacob and Joseph. The waters saw thee, O God, the waters saw thee. They were afraid. The depths also were troubled. The clouds poured out water. The sky sent out a sound. Thine arrows also went abroad. The clouds, okay, I already did it. The voice of thy thunder was in the heaven. The lightnings lightened the world. The earth trembled and shook. Thy way is in the sea, and thy path in the great waters, and thy footsteps are not known. Thou leddest thy people like a flock by the hand of Moses and Aaron. That's 77, Psalm 77. Yes. Oh, I think I should, well, if we read, we're going to read one more, Psalm 78. That 77 is for the young lady who said it was my 77th birthday on the 7th day. From that Waka Waka A. Oh, the song Waka Waka. I'm going to read this Psalm 78. Mashil of Asaph. Give ear, O my people, to my law. Incline your ears to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old. I will utter dark sayings of old. That's what it says. I will utter I will utter dark sayings of old. That's what it says. Oh, wow. Which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us. We will not hide them from their children, shewing to the generation to come the praises of the Lord and his strength and his wonderful works that he hath done. For he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers that they should make them known to their children. Excuse me. Yeah. Yeah, we're sorry for your loss, Angel Mist. That the generation to come might know them, even the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children, that they might set their hope in God and not forget the works of God, but keep his commandments, and might not be as their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation that set not their heart aright, and whose spirit was not steadfast with God. The children of Ephraim, being armed and carrying bows, turned back in the day of trouble, or the day of battle. They kept not the covenant of God, and they refused to walk in his law, and forget his works and his wonders that he had shewed them. Marvelous things did he in the sight of their fathers, in the land of Egypt, in the field of Zoan. Yeah. Where am I at? He divided the sea and caused them to pass through, and he made the waters to stand as an heap. In the daytime also he led them with a cloud, and all the night with a light of fire. He clave the rocks in the wilderness and gave them drink as out of the great depths. He brought streams also out of the rocks. My nose is itching. Out of the rock. And caused waters to run down like rivers. And they sinned yet more against him by provoking the Most High in the wilderness. They tempted God in their heart by asking meat for their lust. Yea, they spake against God. They said, can God furnish a table in the wilderness? Behold, he smote the rock that the waters gushed out. Oh my goodness, y'all. This is like, he smote the rock that the waters gushed out, streams overflowed. Can he give bread also? Can he provide flesh for his people? Look at that. He smote the water, the streams overflowed. Can he give bread also? Can he provide flesh for his people? Therefore, the Lord heard this and was wroth. She was not happy. So a fire was kindled against Jacob, and anger also came against Israel, because they believed not in God and trusted not in his salvation. Let me see that. Though he had commanded the clouds from above, we got to the clouds, he commanded the clouds from above and opened the doors of heaven. and had rained down manna upon them to eat, and had given them of the corn of heaven. Man did eat angels' food. He sent them meat to the full. Man ate angels' food. That's what it says right there. Man ate angels' food. Angels' food. That's what it says. They ate angels' food. He caused an east wind to blow in the heaven, and by his power he brought in the south wind. He rained flesh also upon them as dust, and feathered fowls like as the sand of the sea. And he let it fall in the midst of their camp, round about their habitations. So they did eat and were well filled, but he gave them their own desire. They wanted it, he gave it to them. They were not estranged from their lust, but while their meat was yet in their mouths, the wrath of God came upon them, and slew the fattest of them, and smote down the chosen men of Israel. For all this they still sinned, and believed not for his wondrous work. Therefore their days did he consume in vanity, and their years in trouble. Is that Jacob's troubles? When he slew them, then they sought him, and they returned and inquired early after God. And they remembered God was their rock, and the high their redeemer. The high God was their redeemer. My nose is really tickling. Nevertheless, they did flatter him with their mouth, and they lied unto him with their tongues. For their heart was not right with him, neither were they steadfast in his covenant. Just go to tell you, flattery will get you nowhere. Your lying mouth through your flattery will get you nowhere because your heart was not in the right place. Everything has to do with the heart. Say whatever you want, do whatever you want. It's what comes from inside here, right there. But he, being full of compassion, forgave their iniquity and destroyed them not. Yea, many a time turned he his anger away and did not stir up all his wrath. He held back his wrath. For he remembered that they were but flesh, they just mere humans. A wind that passeth away and cometh not again. How oft did they provoke him in the wilderness and grieve him in the desert? Yea, they turned back and tempted God and limited the Holy One of Israel. They remembered not his hand, nor the day when he delivered them from their enemy, how he had wrought his signs in Egypt and his wonders in the field of Zoan, and had turned their rivers into blood, and their floods that they could not drink. He sent divers sorts of flies among them. They got a plague of flies, which devoured them, and frogs which destroyed them. He gave also their increase unto the caterpillar, and their labor unto the locust. He destroyed their vines with hail, and their sycamore trees with frost. He gave up their cattle also to the hail, and their flocks to hot thunderbolts. He cast upon them the this is interesting, the fierceness of his anger, wrath and indignation and trouble by sending evil angels among them. He sent the evil angels among them. They had to obey him. The evil angels, that would be the fallen ones. Wow, that's kind of interesting. He made a way to his anger. He spared not their soul from death, but gave their life over to pestilence, and smote all the firstborn in Egypt, the chief of their strength in the tabernacles of Ham, but made his own people to go forth like sheep, and guided them in the wilderness like a flock. And he led them on safely, so that they feared not, but the sea overwhelmed their enemies. And he brought them to the border of his sanctuary, even to his mountain, which his right hand had purchased. His right hand had purchased the mountain. That's interesting. With his right hand over this to this mountain which his right hand had purchased. That's really interesting. He cast out the heathen also before them, and divided them an inheritance by line, and made the tribes of Israel to dwell in their tents. Yet they tempted and provoked the Most High God, and kept not his testimonies, but turned back and dealt unfaithfully like their fathers. They were turned aside like a deceitful bow. For they provoked him to anger with their high places, and moved him to jealousy with their graven images. When God heard this, he was wroth, and greatly abhorred Israel. Abhorred is one of the most strongest words that you can use for hate. Abhorred. So that he forsook the tabernacle of Shiloh, the tent which he placed among them, and delivered his strength into captivity, and his glory into the enemy's hands. He gave his people over also unto the sword, and was wroth with his inheritance. The fire consumed their young men, and their maidens were not given to marriage. Their priests fell by the sword, and their widow made no lamentation. Then the Lord awaked as one out of sleep, and like a mighty man that shouteth by reason of wine. And he smote his enemies in the hinder parts. He put them to a perpetual reproach. Moreover, he refused the tabernacle of Joseph, and chose not the tribe of Ephraim, but chose the tribe of Judah, the Mount Zion which he loved. And he built his sanctuary like high palaces, like the earth which he hath established forever. He chose David as his servant, and took him from the sheepfolds, from following the ewes, great with young. He brought him to feed Jacob his people, and Israel his inheritance. So he fed them according to the integrity of his heart, and guided them by the skillfulness of his hands. Well, I did a short video about integrity this morning. There's some things some people are not willing to sacrifice, and integrity is one of them. That's what I said in my video. Integrity. I did. Right there. Integrity of his heart. That's where integrity is found, in your heart. Yes. That's right. So I am going to go. Gina, while you're reading that, well, I'm over there on the other side of the basement, straightening up and going through old canning lids and stuff, and just straightening up the shelves on the other side of the basement that's done. And I got this CD, Bible CD on. It's the living, it's really neat. It's the live, the Bible live, Bible bought to life and has, yeah, it's nice. And I heard it, that he had his tent, set his tent in Salem. And that's how I came to, in Salem, also his tabernacle and his dwelling place of Zion. I was on here, a song of victory. The fame of God in Judah, in Israel, in Salem, in Zion. The reputation of God has been spread far and wide because of his victories. Jerusalem is the center of his fame because his battle headquarters are located there. Look how that's written in this commentary. His battle headquarters. Wow. His battle headquarters. It's like right there in Jerusalem. His battle headquarters. You know where that picture came from? When I was diagnosed with breast cancer back in 2005, my mom and took my son and daughter out, and they got that for me for Christmas right there in 2005. So I never got rid of it. And that's how it happened, you all. That is exactly how it happened. So I am going to go. And with that being said, hello, wherever you are in any part of the world. Hello. From my heart to yours. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. That's your beliefs. Somebody writing their beliefs. Jesus and indeed Allah is my Lord and your Lord, so worship him. There is a theory that God goes by, it's not really a theory, God goes by many names, and it's like there is a one true God with many, many names. He's everything to a lot of people. That's how it goes. He is Jehovah, Jehovah Jireh, God of creation, God of Messiah. He is Jehovah, the God. He is Jehovah, the God. He has built. That some say that Inky. There's the Inky. There's the Enlil. It's best to say it's the Most High God, the Most High God that there is out there altogether. The Most High goes by many names. That's right. I'm going to go, you all. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. Love you. You're welcome. Thank you, Al Honey. And if any other